husband's a pharmacist, so he went to Ole Miss, and we we dated the whole time. So when he came back, he got a job here. I was finishing up my master's. I was actually in the thesis portion of my master's. My thesis was life in Old Tishomingo County, and did a lot of research there as far as during the Civil War. Looked at civilians, looked at the civilian-soldier relationships, and then the soldier-soldier relationships. So I was finishing up my thesis, and when I did that, I actually got a job working for our Chamber of Commerce, which at that time the tourism office was part of the Chamber of Commerce. I got a lot of experience. I did that only a year. While I was doing that, I also started volunteering at our local museum on Sunday afternoons with Mrs. Margaret Rodgers. Mrs. Rodgers had been a third grade teacher here. She was, I'd say, her father was actually an overseer of some farming operations as well. So I think she was born here, but they moved out. They moved to Alabama, but she came back. She became a teacher. She taught at the Alcorn Agricultural High School, which is Kossuth now. And then she came back and taught in the Corinth school system. There's a lot of folks here who had Mrs. Rodgers for a third grade teacher. And when she retired from that, she helped start the local museum. And for a long time it was a little hut. And we had traffic in and out. We had, not only we had tourism was really getting to going, say about 15, 16 years ago. And but then we had a lot of locals who would come who would just want to reminisce with Mrs. Rodgers. She had a wonderful mind in that she remembered who lived where. She remembered them from school. So she was just a kaleidoscope almost of learning for me. And I at the end of the year that I volunteered, she actually wanted to step back. I think she was 88. So she decided that she needed to rest a little bit. So the board at the museum opened the job, and I applied for the director. And by that time I'd had my master's. I'd finished my thesis, had my master's. So I got the job at the museum with the understanding that Mrs. Rodgers was always coming back. It was one of those times where I was almost in a holding pattern because I loved her so much from the year that I spent with her. There were things that needed to be done with the museum as far as to improve it, but at 88 years old, there was nothing that I felt like couldn't wait until Mrs. Rodgers couldn't come anymore, because it was her baby, so to speak, and she had done such a wonderful job of collecting. People would come in and give the museum things, but she never minded. She got to the age where she never minded asking people for things, and you would have people come from all over the country chasing Civil War relatives, and they might have a letter, they might have a diary excerpt, and Mrs. Rodgers always would say, "Can we make a copy of that?"